My today's guest took over as the CEO of Wunderman Thompson South Asia in November last year. Having donned many hats at Dentsu previously, he's a man with multiple accolades and applauses who envisions doubling Wunderman Thompson's business in the next 3 years. On that note, I welcome Shamsuddin Jasani to BW Business World. Hi, Shams, we welcome you.
Thanks so much for having me here, and it's an absolute pleasure to be discussing this with you. Thank you so much.
We are also extremely happy to have you on board. How's the new agency treating you, if I may ask?
Oh, fantastic! I think it's in a very exciting place. I think it's something which I am really looking forward to, really excited about. The very rich legacy that we've had. I think being pretty much the pioneers of advertising in India, 9 decades. So it's a fantastic kind of legacy that it has. So very excited about being there and being treated fabulously. So yeah, enjoying my place right now.
All good things right now, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So we know that you've taken charge as the captain of the ship very recently. But with your previous experience of launching and building various path-breaking agencies, how will you leverage that experience at WT? Yes, WT. That's my first question. And what gaps are you expecting to probably fill here?
I think, as I said, I think my vision of where the agency model needs to really, transform into was where I think Wunderman Thompson really globally and as well as in India are going. So I want to bring my experience over the past, more than 2 decades of combining creativity and technology together to build this agency of the future, which I see. And I think very critical in that journey is going to be how do we leverage not only what we've had, so the past, 9 decades, absolutely amazing legacy. How do we take that, build on top of that, great brand experience capabilities, but enhance those capabilities to a more customer experience and a consumer experience capabilities, and combining that with data, commerce, and technology. I think that's where the evolution of us going forward. So if you tell me that these aren't gaps, this is the evolution of Wunderman Thompson, a beautiful legacy on brand experience, a beautiful legacy on creativity, which we want to take forward. We are always going to be a creative agency. That doesn't change for us. But as we go into the future, it's really building those, adding to those capabilities along with the commerce, technology, and data. So I think that's where I want to take WT forward.
Very well said. Shams, WPP was perhaps one of the few first holding companies to announce cost-cutting measures as soon as the pandemic hit the world. The reverberations of that pandemic are, of course, still prominent in plenty of the places. I do realize that you're new to the agency, but how do you see yourself reigniting probably the lost assurance and assisting your stakeholders in that sense?
Yeah, I think the one very good part about what Wunderman Thompson, at least that I can speak about, and is that there was very little effect that happened to the people in the organization. So I think to an extent, they were protected from the shocks of the pandemic. The team's been absolutely brilliant. I think despite the 2 years, everyone got affected. I'm sure all of us were struggling in the last 2 years. The organization really grew. All the challenges, but I think just the sheer will of the people really, build it forward. And I think that's something which is there. I think the way forward for us as into the new, in new wave as we go, I think first of all, despite the third wave and all, I think we are as India and as an economy, I think we are on our way back. So the challenges that we faced over the past couple of years, fingers crossed, we're not going to face that. So what we are doing is we are starting off with having a very honest conversation, a very transparent conversation with our people. And we are making sure that we are carrying them along in this journey and being very clear with them and very transparent with them, understanding their needs. And we are a people first organization. What I care for the most and the organization cares for the most is our people. And through this, I also wanted to tell them that we have your backs. Yeah, I have said this. I'm doing town halls with every of all the teams that are there across all the businesses that we have. And what I am really the one thing that I really want to bring is the transparency and honesty in the system. So that's number one. And I think the other is how can we work with them to really take care of both their the challenges that they face, which are not just there is the whole physical aspect of it, making sure that people are safe, people are taken care of, and when they come back to office, everything is in place so that there is no issues that are there. But also, I think the mental well-being, the last 2 years have been difficult for all of us. So how do we take care of the mental well-being? And finally, how do we make a hybrid work environment where we're taking care of people coming to office as well as a work from home kind of a thing? So it's a holistic view. Again, as I said, the number one thing out there is transparency and honesty with the team. I think that's the most critical part.
So kudos for your efforts. I think, as we say, that a leader is as good as his team. So I think you are moving in the right direction, and we hope to see some wonderful works of Wunderman Thompson in the coming days, along with a very a leader who will breed sensitivity and strength in his team. So congratulations on that front.
Thank you so much.
My next question to you is, what are some of the key announcements that we can probably expect in the few days? Some new business strategies or communication strategies that are on the table for you?
Yeah, I think one of the key things is that as we are evolving, we are going to, we are always going to be creative at our heart. Creativity is going to be the key thing that we always do. We've always been a creative agency. We always will be a creative agency. I think our first immediate evolution is how are we, embracing digital like never before. So I think that is going to be very critical. I think the next part of it will also be how do we closely integrate with Mirum, which is an absolutely brilliant part of our business. So how do we work closely with them where we are using the capabilities, the complementing capabilities between Mirum and us? I think is going to be very critical. And the other thing is we've got Wunderman Thompson Commerce, an amazing team that is there. How do we work with them to bring commerce capabilities alive to all our clients? I think that is going to be one of the most important things. And you will hear something very soon. So we will be launching our own health practice. I know that we have some very some capabilities in the network which not too many people have. So it's not just going to be a regular health practice, but you'll hear about it very soon. But we do have some very unique capabilities which allows us to give solutions beyond what a lot of other people can. So I think the health practice we'll be launching the health practice very soon. And of course, one of the key growth strategies that we want to grow both organically and inorganically, and especially inorganically, is that we will be looking at acquisitions in the space. We'll be looking at acquisitions in data, technology, commerce, marketplace, and consulting business. I mean, I think there is a combination of these things that we are keeping an eye on. And as we are, envisaging this new way of working where Wunderman Thompson needs to evolve from being a brand experience agency to a customer experience agency, I think it needs to be fueled by data, technology, and creative. So I think that's something which we are looking at as well. So yeah, that's something that will fuel our ambitious growth, which we have kept it, and we'll talk about it as we go forward.
I think you've touched upon some of the topics that were exactly there in my head, whether it was Mirum or whether it was WT Commerce. So all of that was actually there in my head. I'm so glad that you actually touched upon it, being very transparent about it. So yes, okay. So you just mentioned that digital is one of the key, pillars that your focal point will be at. So is it fair to say that digital has taken precedence for most of your clients in the past 2 years, or do you still see traditional media doing well just like before?
See, I have a slightly different take, and maybe it's just kind of thinking out loud on this and a personal view. There, neither clients nor consumers actually see the difference between digital and on mainline. I mean, digital has evolved now. It's come of age. The numbers are just the number of time that people spend on it is just phenomenal. But At the same
Yeah.
time, you have consumption which is across mediums. The consumer doesn't think it's the digital or physical or traditional medium that is there. Neither does the client. I think we just need to be able to work with clients and their KPIs to then answer to them which is the best way forward, whether it's digital, whether it's traditional, or whether it's the mix of both. I think that really is the future. I don't think it's a digital versus physical or a traditional thing. It is more to do with the fact that what works best for the client. And honestly, if you ask me, I have some views in terms of where everything is going to be underpinned by digital. I mean, the cord cutting is already happening. You have people who are not watching cable and satellite television anymore. People are more and more watching it through internet. So, is that television or is that internet? So the whole dynamics are changing. So I would say that
Yeah.
that whole difference is no longer there. I think it is come of age. I mean, the numbers are just phenomenal. So you need to do that.
Okay. Okay, Sham, so there has been a dramatic change in the client expectations and business realities. How, according to you, has the agency and client relationship changed post the pandemic? Also, how have the client expectations altered in the past 2 years?
So the clients have been looking for an integrated approach to their businesses, and that has accelerated in the last 2 years. What is happening and what has happened in the last previously also, but especially in the last 2 years, is that the client wants one agency to do whatever everything that they're supposed to. Earlier, because of all the specializations, the client was speaking to a lot of agencies, and
Right.
also not just in marketing. I think that's where that's taking from where I want the agency model to evolve, where I think the agency model is to evolve, is to get this integration across the entire consumer journey. Can we
Okay.
work with clients to give them solutions not just on brand experience, but the entire consumer experience, every touch point in their consumer journey? How are we giving them solutions across that? And being a real partner to the client is what they're looking at. They're looking at solutions which are going beyond the norm. They're looking at solutions which are saying, how can we start utilizing the physical and the digital world in a
Right.
in a way which is ever evolving and ever changing, and especially now that the pandemic has really changed how people look at this dynamic of physical and digital. They're looking at a partner who can give them that uh, entire integrated approach, and that's where I think our model also is evolving into.
Okay, makes sense. Okay. So my last question to you actually comes out of my own inquisitiveness because I have worked within an ad agency during my college days. So this is something that has come up from that area. So the culture of an ad agency attracts only a handful, right? So people still dread the many opinions that are attached to it, whether it is the late work hours or too much of an exposed culture. How do you look at it from a leadership point of view? Plus, how have you allayed, such fears?
Yeah, first of all, I disagree that
Okay.
ad agencies attract only a handful of people. I think I've spent my entire career in this medium, and I would not change it for anything in the world. It is just the most
Okay.
fantastic business that we could, because the collaborative spirit, the camaraderie that you get, the kind of environment you're enjoying yourself. Uh, it's something which I think was a big part and is a big part of what the agency and what attracted people to the agency. What's missing is that we've not been able to do that for 2 years. We've not been able to go to offices for 2 years. A big part of the agency culture was about just the sheer energy that agencies bring out, and especially the creative agencies that bring out people. People who work in agencies and who work, they really take pride in what they do. What's challenging is that in the 2 years we've not been able to build that culture, and hence the sense of connection, that sense of community
Hmm.
has kind of broken. So we need to find ways of bringing people back together and feeling a part of an organization and feeling a part of this culture that is there. I think that's what my biggest thing has been, is how do I work with my teams, and the town hall was one way to do it. How can I can bring that sense of what they're working for. It's a 9-decade-old organization. It is a pioneer in this. they need to feel that energy that is there of working for an organization. And of course, uh, involving them in where we are going into the future. But at the same time, yes, we are working with them to strike the right kind of work-life balance. That is extremely critical. And we are making sure that the onus is on me and with all of us to be able to set up that work-life balance. And I think clients are also starting to understand that more. I think everyone is alive to the fact that we need to do that. But I feel it's one of the best places to work if you enjoy, if you get the team right, if you get the people right. I don't think there's any place like this. And I as I said, 20 years and I'm still having a blast.
Okay, accepted. On that note, I would want to thank you for joining us. Thanks for your time, and I have a lot of takeaways from your interview. I hope to catch up with you very soon. Thank you.